Okay, you're the co-host and go for it.
Can you see my screen now?
See your screen?
Okay. So my name is Catherine Dalton. My capstone was the Lehigh Climate Action Plan. A little bit of background is Lehigh has asked for Stonehouse Group to help conduct audits and review their data to give them a better idea on what their next step should be for a climate action plan moving forward. Stonehouse Group specializes in helping companies and universities analyze their data to better understand what goals should be set, meaning looking at what they were using for energy and how they could try to be carbon neutral going forward in the future, or whatever goal that they want to do moving forward. So a climate action plan is to help a company or university produce a plan to decrease their carbon footprint, analyze data to see what trends are happening with energy consumption throughout a campus, especially if there's multiple buildings and multiple campuses, to see which parts of the campus are using the most amount of energy, be it different kinds. And here is a Gantt chart that Stonehouse Group had provided to us at the beginning. Obviously, with COVID, the months are a little bit off, but everything should be kind of the same. We have an energy audit, which is where the students go out and they evaluate each building, seeing what kind of lighting they have and what kind of energy is being used in said buildings. And at the same time, the climate action planning technical support group is doing peer analysis, working groups, and doing things in conjunction to try to meet the deadline that they're trying to hit in the spring. So energy audits, currently students are conducting energy audits, which will be used in conjunction with the data Lehigh has provided us. The students will create reports for the buildings that they audited, and that information will provide better insight to what should be done to help Lehigh in their goal. Data collection is to get a better understanding of what we are looking for. We focused on 34 buildings. We focused on electric usage and gas usage specifically. We are looking for which buildings were using chilled water, steam, and natural gas to pinpoint consumption. Through that, for compiling the data, we use Excel to create spreadsheets to easily see that data that we want to look at. Filters were used to make sure the right buildings were being targeted from Lehigh's utility overview. Once the right buildings were selected, the data was then converted to the right units. Afterward, we could begin with visualizing the data. One way that we did that was through blob maps. Blob maps were an informative way for the group to see which areas are consuming the most types of energy in a visual way. By pinpointing the different buildings on the map, we can clearly see where the highest consumption of certain energy is taking place. On the right is basically an example of one of the blob maps taken from Lehigh's energy data. As you can see, the bigger blobs are where the most energy is being used. And the smaller ones are obviously where they're not as much. And this is an example of natural gas. And the next thing that we were looking into currently was the peer review. By looking at other colleges with their own climate action plan, we're able to determine if we want to envision our own climate action plan to mirror any action items that they are working toward as well. We can see also what progress they have made and if it'd be worth it to go in that direction they decided. Emissions from each college are also available and can be depicted through pie charts to give more of a visual. And here is just an example of two so far that we have. On the left, we have George Washington University, and on the right, we have Tufts. And this just kind of shows what kind of emission is going on for each college. As you can see, both have other on-campus to be like a big part of what their emissions are. Obviously, each college is going to be different, but by looking at this, we can see for Lehigh later on what we're trying to target to get toward carbon neutrality. Moving forward, this project is still ongoing and will be set to end in the next few months. Stonehouse Group will continue to work through their data and will produce their recommendations for the board in the future.
So, questions from anybody? So what did the data reveal to you, Catherine, so far?
It's still a working process, but it's very interesting to see how much data is being consumed by Lehigh, and it's going to be interesting to see what Stonehouse Group is going to project for Lehigh to do in the future for their climate action plan for carbon neutrality.
Okay. And you showed the peer review pie charts.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that you will, not you, but the group will put together something along those lines for Lehigh?
I would assume so. That's something I guess we have to talk about down the line since this project is still ongoing. But for right now, we're kind of looking at the colleges that we have access to, and then eventually we will show it toward what we have currently for Lehigh and seeing what we can do for the future.
Okay, and so what will there be any action? I know this is somewhat beyond the scope of what you did, but would you assume there would be actions that would be triggered from how we compare with peer review?
That I probably can't say, but I know probably the people at Stonehouse Group would probably be able to give you a better answer on that.
Okay. One last thing about the blob maps.
Yes.
Again, what would be the action that would be derived from those blob maps? Could we identify buildings that could be fine-tuned for energy usage?
Yeah. I've made a blob map for each energy usage. So there's natural gas, there's steam, there's electricity, both with chilled water and without it. And that's done for each of the 34 buildings that we looked at. And there's also an Excel sheet that kind of shows which ones are using the amount of energy. And through that, we can see which ones are using the most. So yes, potentially we can use that data to say, hey, this building right now is using quite a bit of steam. Maybe we push back a little bit and make it do a little bit less in the future.
Okay. Any last questions from the students? Okay, if no.
I had a question quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
I had a question for Kat.
Yeah.
Is it dorms? I would imagine. I could see from the blob map I was looking at the area. Are dorms the most energy consuming?
So you can see over here, it kind of just like varies going from blob map to blob map. So right now you're looking at natural gas, and if you're familiar with the campus, you'd be able to kind of pinpoint where it is. It looks like right now it's over like Taylor Gymnasium, where the most of it is for natural gas. It does depend on which energy source that you're looking at, obviously. And if everyone was interested, I can actually send over the rest of the blob maps I had. That would be for the other energy sources, but I would assume that each ones would show different amounts.
Okay, anything else for Kat? Thanks a lot, Kat, and we'll miss you at the actual meeting, but nevertheless, I think we have your material. And just one last thing, if I can have you send your slides just for backup in case something happens.
Yeah. I actually just uploaded it on CoreSite, but I'll email them to you as well.
Okay. All right. All right, now who wants to go next?
Jasper and I can go next if he doesn't mind.
All right. And make you guys the co-hosts. Let me. So I'm gonna make both Dylan and Jasper.
Is this about the format that the final presentations will go as?
Well, well, Catherine's case was special because she can't physically make it.
Right, so she's gonna, so for us, you're just gonna give us control and we can share a screen and,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
okay,
Yes, yeah, if that's what you meant, yes.
yeah, okay.
So this way you guys can manipulate the slides and everything else. So both you and Jasper are co-hosts.
Can you see my screen?
No,
No?
it says launch meeting. You see my
I don't-
screen?
Share screen.
Okay,
Click on final presentation. You're on the wrong tab.
yeah.
There we go. Present.
There we are.
Remember to introduce yourself. You guys are still on the dry run.
So I'm Dylan and this is my partner Jasper, and we're teamed up with DER now.